Tonight we're reading about butterflies. It's from A Pocket Guide to Butterflies and Moths by Elizabeth Balmer. I'm going to start with the Morning Cloak, Camberwell Beauty, Nymphalis antiopa. Commonly known as the morning cloak in America and Camberwell Beauty in Europe, this butterfly is widespread but not necessarily easy to observe. As woodland butterflies that feed on tree sap, they only occasionally come down to the ground to feed off flowers. Both males and females are a deep maroon color, bordered with light yellow and a band of bright blue spots on the outer edges. From below, they are dark gray with black lines and white wing margins speckled with black. The butterfly hibernates in tree hollows over the winter, but will often emerge on warm, early spring days. Lesser marbled fritillary, Brenthis ino. This is a relatively small but otherwise typical fritillary butterfly. It has upper side wings that are orange marked with a checkered pattern of black spots. The wing edges are scalloped and bordered with black. Its body and wing bases are also dark. On its underside, the wings are more yellow, with black and white edges to both wings. The forewings bear black spots. The hind wings a combination of yellow, brown, and buff patches. Caterpillar, black body with a pair of white stripes and brown back spines. Feeds on raspberry leaves, great burnet, and meadowsweet. Gatekeeper, not to be mistaken for keymaster. This particularly common member of the brown family is in abundance during midsummer, particularly when brambles are in flower. It is a small butterfly with bright orange upper wings that are broadly bordered with brown across both wing margins. The forewing also bears a brown central patch and a black eye spot marked with a pair of white highlights. Males also bear a dark sex patch on the forewing. On the underside, both wings are much paler, a buff yellow on the forewing and a marbled lighter browns on the hind wing. The forewing eye spot is repeated below. Caterpillar is a green body with darker green side stripes, feeds on grasses. Grayling. Hipparchia smell. This small butterfly is an expert at camouflage, possibly Hipparchia. It likes to bask on tree trunks and bare rock, and not only is its wing pattern designed to emerge with such a background, it also holds its wings at a slight angle to avoid casting any shadow. On its upper side, it has pale, dull brown wings with buff and orange patches and brown eye spots. The underwings, which are more likely to be observed, are mottled gray and brown on the hind wing. The brighter forewing is often tucked behind the resting hind wing, whereby its buff and orange patch with two black eye spots are less noticeable to predators. The caterpillar is a brown body with black stripes. Feeds on grasses as well. Skippers. Regal fritillary, Spieria idamia. The regal fritillary is a sad example of the detrimental effect of habitat loss on butterfly populations. This attractive fritillary is in sharp decline, having disappeared from many of its former ranges across the tall grass prairies of central North America. It is large, with broad, squared wings, From above, the forewings are a bright orange color with black markings and a broad black border spotted with white. The hindwings are black with two rows of marginal white spots. From below, the repeated spotting appears more metallic, and the background color of the wings is similarly dark. Caterpillar, black and yellow body with short branching spines, feeds on bird's foot and prairie violets. Everybody doing okay? How everybody doing? Zebra, Heliconius carathonia. Like many other heliconius butterflies, the zebra collects and feeds on the pollen and nectar of forest flowers. It has black wings, which are boldly marked with yellow bands, three on the forewing and one solid band across the center of the hind wing, plus a broken band along the hind wing margin. Its underside is similar, but with the addition of red spots at the wing bases. In order to ensure a virgin mate, males prefer to mate with females as they are drying after emerging from their pupa. Caterpillar, white body with black spines and spots, feeds on passion flower. Queen, Danaus gilatus. In appearance, the queen butterfly is similar to its close relative, the monarch. However, it is smaller in size and slightly darker in appearance, with far less patterning on the upper side. From above, the background color of the wings is a deep orange-brown with darker brown wing margins. There are white spots on the tip of the forewing and scattered along the margins. Males also show scent scales on the center hindwing as a small pale gray mark. The underside is a slightly paler orange-brown with distinctive black veins edged with white. The white spots on the black wing margins are bold, as are the white spots marking the black body and abdomen. The queen caterpillar is a gray body with black rings spotted with orange. Feeds on milkweed. Find that monarch. Hackberry, purple emperor, white peacock, Duke of Burgundy fritillary, common blue. There's so many butterflies and moths, but this is mostly about butterflies. Bath white, wood white. Life cycle of the butterfly. There are 4 stages in the life cycle of all Lepidoptera: egg, caterpillar, pupa, and butterfly, and each stage is vital. Butterflies are not simply attractive pollinators of garden flowers. Their ultimate goal is to mate and successfully reproduce. Likewise, caterpillars must not only feed and store up energy, they also have to ensure they are not the victims of hungry predators. laid singly in small groups or in huge numbers. Eggs can take either a few days or several weeks to hatch. They can be one of a number of shapes, colors, and even sizes. Some eggs are tiny, others are surprisingly large. Eggs are usually laid on specific host plants by the female butterfly, which walks across the plant surface, using the sensors in her legs to determine it is the correct one. Less fussy eggs can be released in flight, particularly those whose caterpillars feed upon grass. Once the egg hatches, the newly emerged caterpillar begins by eating the hard shell. Then it gets to work eating its host plant. Caterpillars also appear in a wide variety of sizes, shapes, and colors. They are particularly vulnerable to predators. Birds, other insects, and lizards are among the many animals that prey on these butterfly larvae, and so their appearance is often determined by their need to protect themselves. Poisonous caterpillars may appear brightly colored to ward off attack, or bear aggressive spines that can irritate if touched or ingested. The caterpillars of the arctid moth family are particularly hairy and collectively referred to as woolly bears. Some caterpillars display very unusual and somewhat aggressive features, such as horns, alarming tail whips, and false eye spots. Many swallowtail caterpillars have an organ called an osmeterium, rather like an inflatable horn, which releases a repulsive scent. The caterpillar of a puss moth has a number of these aggressive attributes and can also spit formic acid for good measure. Many other caterpillars adopt rather more passive but equally successful methods of protecting themselves from predators, either adopting camouflage or simply hiding within or beneath the foliage. Caterpillars spend most of their time eating, and as their bodies grow, they slough off their skin, rather like a snake. Most caterpillars will shed their skin several times before they are large enough to begin pupating. For most species, this means that the final skin shedding reveals not only another caterpillar, but its chrysalis or cocoon. For others, particularly moths, the chrysalis is spun from a single strand of silk, encasing the caterpillar in a protective shell so that it can begin its transformation. Once the caterpillar has revealed or spun its chrysalis, it enters the pupa stage. As a pupa, it is extremely vulnerable to predators since it is completely immobile. Consequently, pupae will adopt a number of strategies to protect themselves. Most pupae are incredibly well camouflaged, resembling dry leaves, twigs, fresh buds, and even bird droppings, such as those of the swallowtail family. Some pupa casings are covered with spines, while others containing a poisonous butterfly will advertise their inedible status. Many species pupate underground, within plant roots, or even inside ants' nests, such as the large blue butterfly pupa. It usually takes around 2 weeks for pupation to complete, although some species can take much longer, several months or even 2 years, depending upon external circumstances. Once metamorphosis is complete, the butterfly must break out of the chrysalis. At this stage, the wings are crumpled up. It is the body that must be forced out of its shell. As the butterfly takes in air for the first time, its thorax and abdomen can expand and its wings can begin to swell. The wings are composed of two membranes which are fed by veins, and as these fill up, so the wings are expanded to take on their final shape. However, before it flies, the fresh butterfly must allow its wings to dry out and harden, a process that can take several hours. Behavior. The lifespan of a butterfly varies from species to species. Some live for less than a week, others long enough to migrate through the winter months, but the typical adult butterfly will, during its lifetime, fly, feed, mate, and migrate. Feeding butterflies use their proboscis to suck up liquid nutrients such as flower nectar, tree sap, rotten fruit juices, honeydew, blood, and fecal liquid, and even, in some cases, animal tears. Some male butterflies, such as the blue triangle, will feed from the mud found in puddles or on riverbanks, probably seeking extra nutrients as necessary for reproduction. Above and opposite a monarch butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, its wings have been crumpled inside, so the butterfly must rest to allow them to expand and harden. Reproduction can only take place when butterflies of the same species successfully identify one another. This can be particularly tricky when different species look similar or when the environment makes it awkward to spot a potential mate. Some butterflies are dependent upon their pheromones or scent to entice their partner. Others will engage in elaborate courtship displays which communicate compatibility as well as general suitability. Mating pairs will clasp together, either landed or in air, and can remain attached for anything from 20 minutes to 24 hours. The male then usually heads off in search of a new mate, while the female begins to search for a suitable place to deposit her eggs. The majority of butterflies remain within the same territory for their whole lives, being able to satisfy their needs within their chosen habitat and range. However, some species migrate across relatively long distances in order to take advantage of potential food sources in other areas. During warm periods, butterflies will migrate in order to follow the fine weather. For instance, the monarch, a well-known migrant, will head north across the North American continent, following the spread of new flowers brought by spring. In most cases, the butterflies that migrate out of their range do not return home. Instead, the next generation heads back to the native area as the seasons change. In Europe, well-known migrant butterflies include pale clouded yellows and painted ladies. These are generally native to North Africa, and Mediterranean Europe, but can regularly be found as far north as Scandinavia during the summer months. Other butterflies, such as the red admiral, migrate in order to overwinter or to hibernate. They seek out temperate but cool climates where they can remain safely immobile, reserving their energy until the arrival of spring. The onset of winter is a challenge that all species of butterfly and moth have to face. Different species cope with this period when little or no food is available in particular ways. Many overwinter as eggs or choose this time to pupate. Those that are already adults may hibernate. Some caterpillars, too, are able to shut down their metabolism to wait out the winter months. Habitat. The relationship between butterflies and their habitat is crucial. Particular habitats are chosen by individual species because they have evolved adaptations suitable to those habitats. All Lepidoptera need warmth to provide them with the energy to fly. Therefore, butterflies are found in sunny, tropical, and temperate regions. They will need specific foods both for breeding and for the adults to feed. Typical habitats will therefore be places such as open woodland where the sunlight can penetrate and where there are plentiful flowers, or meadows and grassland, heathland and coasts with their specific flora, or mountain slopes. Powerful butterflies will survive in forest or woodland canopies, living up at the treetops. Weak flyers prefer to stay closer to the ground among shrubs and trees, which will provide protection from winds. Butterflies found in woodland will often be colored red, brown, or gray, so they resemble dry leaves or bark. Others are bright green, like fresh leaves. Butterflies are dependent upon these particular places, and the loss of native habitats can only have dire consequences for the numbers fully emerge from them. Survival. With so many potential predators, butterflies and moths employ a number of techniques to aid survival. Many species are inedible. Their caterpillars feed from the host plants that contain poisons, storing these in their bodies so that the adult butterfly can benefit from the chemicals. The members of the Heliconis subfamily contain the poisons Heliconius, found in the larval food plant passion flower. Poisonous butterflies advertise this fact to birds, lizards, and other insects with their brightly colored and patterned wings. Many edible butterflies take advantage of these poisonous species by copying their appearance. This technique is known as mimicry. Butterflies will mimic others for one of two reasons: either to appear to be poisonous when not, as does the non-poisonous mimic of the monarch, also known as the poser, the viceroy, or to emphasize their own poisonous status. Edible species that do not mimic these use other tactics. Many will adopt camouflage as an effective technique to avoid becoming prey. The Indian leaf butterfly is an excellent example of this, as are a number of moths, including the brindled beauty. Others will use their wing markings to confuse or frighten predators. Distinctive markings should suggest an even larger predator is at hand. The owl face seen by the enemy is simply the wings of the owl butterfly. The snake's head among the leaves is actually the hooked forewing of the atlas moth. Eye spots are a particularly effective way of confusing and warding off enemies. Some butterflies, such as the blue morpho, have a solid color on the upper side, but large eye spots from below, which startle a predator when they are flashed unexpectedly. Butterflies that use eye spots to frighten their enemies, such as the peacock, can often find themselves with ragged wings as a result of inquisitive pecks from confused birds. Although dangerous, these pecks warn the peacock of danger, giving it time to fly. So, tonight we've had a chance to read a little bit about butterflies, like those some people experience in their stomachs in high school or college. It's been a pleasure. And we're looking forward to the next bedtime story, as it were. We'll read about one more butterfly, and then we'll be finished for tonight. Cleopatra, Gonepteryx Cleopatra. Sick Cleopatra. Similar in appearance to its relative, the brimstone, the Cleopatra inhabits a more southerly range and has more strikingly colored upper wings. It is predominantly bright yellow above, with the center of the forewing showing bright orange in the males. The hind wing bears a small orange-brown spot. Females are generally much paler. The underside is a pale green-yellow with a small ruddy brown spot in the center of each wing. Its most distinguishing feature is the orange streak across the center of the forewing on the underside. Again, females are much paler below, being almost white in color. Both sexes have hooked forewing tips and angular hind wings, giving them a leaf-like appearance when at rest. Caterpillar is a pale green with a fine white stripe along the sides. Cleopatra butterfly feeds on buckwheat. Wingspan is 2 3/8 by 2 3/4 inches. Habitat: woodland edges, scrubland, open and lightly wooded lowland. Range: Mediterranean Europe down to North Africa. status. Common in its chosen habitat. Elizabeth Balmer.